Somewhere in the United States, this story happened or is still happening. You're listening to Horror Night Tales. The story of Bloody Mary is nearly 450 years old. She was once known as one of the most beautiful princesses of England, a woman of royal blood, elegance, and pride. People admired her grace, her sharp intelligence, and her commanding presence. But today, people are afraid even to speak her name. Mirrors frighten them, candlelight makes them uneasy, and the silence between 2:33 a.m. and 3:33 a.m. feels heavier than death itself. She died on November 17th, 1558. Yet, even centuries after her death, the legend refuses to die. Because Bloody Mary was not just a queen, she became something else. Something angry, something unfinished, something that still watches us from the other side of the glass. The mirror ritual. Even today, many people believe that if Bloody Mary, who died hundreds of years ago, is called in front of a mirror, under candlelight, something horrifying happens. The ritual is simple. Stand in front of a mirror, turn off all the lights, light a single candle, and then, slowly, clearly, without laughing or hesitation, say, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Timis. They say that when you do this, her face appears in the mirror. But the one who dares to call her does not walk away safely. Some people die suddenly, some vanish without a trace. And according to the most terrifying accounts, Bloody Mary rips out their eyes and leaves them alive, blind, screaming, and begging for death. Why does this happen? Why does her face appear in the mirror? Tonight, we uncover the real story behind Bloody Mary. Yes, this is not just a myth. This is not a children's game. This is a real story, recorded in history, whispered in fear, and remembered in blood. So listen carefully, and stay with me till the very end. The birth of Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary was born in 1516 at the Palace of Placentia in Greenwich, England. Her real name was Mary Tudor. She was the daughter of King Henry VIII, one of the most powerful and feared kings in English history. From the moment she was born, Mary's life was filled with conflict, rejection, and pain. She was the child of Henry's first wife, Catherine of Aragon. But when Henry fell in love with another woman, everything changed. A princess rejected. King Henry VIII wanted a male heir. When Catherine failed to give him a son, he rejected her, and with her, he rejected Mary. Mary was declared illegitimate. Her title was taken away, her status destroyed. Despite living in a palace full of servants, Mary was treated like a burden. She was forced to work, forced to obey, forced to stay silent. Her father was England's most powerful man. He could break her, and no one would stop him. So Mary learned to endure, quietly, painfully, endlessly. Years of suffering. Mary watched as her father married again, and again, and again. Each new wife meant new rules, new punishments, and new humiliation. She was isolated, denied affection, denied love. While other princesses dreamed of freedom, Mary dreamed only of survival. She grew up in loneliness, surrounded by power she could never touch. And something dark began to grow inside her. Mary becomes queen. In 1547, King Henry VIII died. 6 years later, in 1553, Mary Tudor finally became the Queen of England. She was 37 years old. For the first time in her life, she had control, power, authority, freedom, or so she thought. England was no longer united. The country was torn apart by religion. On one side were the Catholics, on the other, the Protestants. Hatred filled the streets. Churches burned. Blood soaked the land. The Queen of Fire. Mary believed England needed one true religion. Anyone who opposed her vision became her enemy. Protestants were arrested, tortured, executed. Many were burned alive in public squares. Their screams echoed through England. People began to whisper. They stopped calling her Queen Mary. They began calling her something else. Bloody Mary, was of blood. Dark rumors spread across the kingdom. They said Mary bathed in blood instead of water, believing it would keep her young. They said she enjoyed executions. They said her eyes showed no mercy. Whether true or not, fear followed her everywhere. The people no longer saw a queen. They saw a monster wearing a crown, the desire for a child. Despite everything, Mary wanted one thing more than power. A child, an heir, someone who would love her. When news spread that Queen Mary was pregnant, England celebrated. Bells rang. Crowds cheered. Hope returned. Mary was happier than she had ever been. But then, the months passed, and when the time for childbirth came, no child was born. The witch in the womb. Doctors were confused. Priests were summoned. One priest gave a horrifying explanation. Mary was not carrying a child. She was carrying a witch. The rumors spread like wildfire. People were terrified. Some claimed the witch returned again. Mary's stomach swelled once more. Again, she waited. Again after 9 months. Nothing. The Queen of Fire. Mary believed England needed one true religion. Anyone who opposed her vision became her enemy. Protestants were arrested, tortured, executed. Many were burned alive in public squares. Their screams echoed through England. People began to whisper. They stopped calling her Queen Mary. They began calling her something else. Bloody Mary, was of blood. Dark rumors spread across the kingdom. They said Mary bathed in blood instead of water, believing it would keep her young. They said she enjoyed executions. They said her eyes showed no mercy. Whether true or not, fear followed her everywhere. The people no longer saw a queen. They saw a monster wearing a crown, the desire for a child. Despite everything, Mary wanted one thing more than power. A child, an heir, someone who would love her. When news spread that Queen Mary was pregnant, England celebrated. Bells rang. Crowds cheered. Hope returned. Mary was happier than she had ever been. But then, the months passed, and when the time for childbirth came, no child was born. The witch in the womb. Doctors were confused. Priests were summoned. One priest gave a horrifying explanation. Mary was not carrying a child. She was carrying a witch. The rumor spread like wildfire. People were terrified. Some claimed the witch returned again. Mary's stomach swelled once more. Again, she waited. Again after 9 months. Nothing. Death and damnation. Not long after, Mary grew weak. Illness consumed her. On November 17th, 1558, Mary Tudor died. But her death did not bring peace. The people remembered the fire, the blood, the screams. They believed she was cursed. They believed her soul was restless. They named her forever Bloody Mary, after death. After Mary's death, her sister Elizabeth I became queen. But Mary's story did not end in the grave. People began reporting strange events. Mirrors cracking, faces appearing, voices whispering her name. And slowly, a ritual was born. The Forbidden Hours. It is believed Bloody Mary appears only between 2:33 a.m. and 3:33 a.m. A time when the veil between worlds is thin. A time when mirrors become doors. How to see Bloody Mary. The method is terrifyingly simple. Stand in a dark room. Light one candle. No other light. Stand 2 steps away from the mirror. Close your eyes. Once. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. When you open your eyes, you will see her face over your own. Blood will pour from her eyes. Her expression will be filled with rage. And if she steps out of the mirror, there is no escape. True encounters. One man from England claimed he tried the ritual at 2:40 a.m. For a few seconds, a woman stared back at him. Then she moved. She came out of the mirror, and she tore his eyes out. Others were not so lucky. Some died instantly. Others survived but were haunted forever. They saw her in dreams, in reflections, in the dark. I stole your baby. There is one sentence that makes Bloody Mary more dangerous than ever. After calling her name 3 times, if you say, I stole your baby, her rage becomes uncontrollable. Why? Because her greatest pain was never having a child. The final warning: if you ever stand before a mirror and say, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, and then whisper, I stole your baby, your chances of survival are almost 0. My advice: if you value your life, never say those words. Would you dare? So tell me, if you stood alone in the dark, with only a candle and a mijur, would you dare to call her name? This was the true and terrifying story of Bloody Mary. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and share. I'll see you again with another real and horrifying tale. Until then, sleep tight. Remember, so many mirrors don't just reflect,